75 million records sold, platinum by the age of 19, dated Chili from TLC, signed Justin Bieber, movies, music, TV. Is it fair to say Usher was on top of the world? So what happened?
The short answer, herpes.
Don't worry, we'll get to that. This is Whatever Happened to
Usher. When a huge star falls from grace, we need to find out at what point it went wrong and why it went wrong.
That's right, that's right. That's why we're gathered here to pay our respects to the career of Usher Raymond IV. He's not dead, he's just on life support.
It's struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's roll it back to when he was first breaking out onto the scene, early 2000s.
Or even earlier, the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
We have to go all the way back to the 90s because I don't think people realize Usher was groomed by Puff Daddy. He was sort of the Bieber of the 90s.
Which honestly is ironic considering he goes on to take Bieber as a mentee.
What's interesting to me about Usher is that I don't think anyone under the age of 25 has any idea how gigantic he was.
He was a critical component of the pop culture era at the time. His love life was of great interest. He was a hot guy. He was so talented. I mean, this was an all-star for the music industry. He had it all, truly.
I remember the first time I saw him on MTV. I was like a little kid, and You Make Me Wanna came on TRL.
You make me want to do a lot, Usher.
And he was what, 16, 17 at the time. He had this little beanie and was like really good at dancing and was just in that same era of like NSYNC and Britney, you know, and from then on it seemed like he was unstoppable.
Yes, he grew onto the scene early on, but it wasn't until 2000, 2001 when he started dating Chili from TLC, and then we got invested in his personal life, which ultimately launched debatably the two biggest songs of his career, Confessions Part 1 and Confessions Part 2.
That's right.
Which of course were rumored to be about him allegedly cheating on Chili.
These are my confessions. Just when I thought I said all I can say, my chick on the side says she got one on the way. These are my confessions.
While we're talking about confessions, we have to talk about Usher's abs.
I mean,
He was a real sex symbol.
flawless.
Yeah.
He was flawless. He was a Michelangelo statue. I mean, he wasn't just someone to look at. He had the vocals, he had the dance moves.
And he had the hits because 2004 was his biggest year. We could definitely see this was like his peak, and you hate to, think about someone having a peak because then there's a downhill, but he had Yeah that year. And that was, featuring Lil Jon. He basically launched that career. And that song was inescapable.
Absolutely. It was on every dance floor, every radio station.
Every prom.
Every prom.
He was just iconic. He was the 2000s. There was only one artist, according to Billboard, that was bigger than Usher in the early 2000s, Eminem. If you just look at album sales,
I mean,
that means Usher was the #2 artist from 2000 to 2010.
Which is insane.
Insane. And just to emphasize how big Usher was in relation to people we think are more famous now, his Truth Tour in 2004, Usher headlined, and guess who opened for him?
Who?
Kanye West.
No.
John Legend. Mr. Chrissy Teigen opened for Usher.
Mr. Chrissy Teigen with 89 Grammy Awards.
Yeah.
Wow.
Usher was that gigantic. Let's talk about Justin Bieber and Usher. It was huge for Usher, but it might have also, Usher passing the torch onto someone younger and cuter is a little dangerous.
Well, I think he saw it as a great business decision, which it was, but at the same time, like you said, a dementor in the Harry Potter term. Like it sucked a little bit of his sunshine out because then Justin Bieber launched into a fame like no one else.
Right, so the downhill for Usher, I think, started to come around 2011. He had this big album, it had OMG on it.
Oh my gosh.
But it was sort of cheesy dance R&B. There's some auto-tuning going on.
And it's like the T-Pain effect.
Yes, and it was big. He sold, 6-7 million copies of that single. But just around the corner, we had Frank Ocean and The Weeknd.
Who were doing those sexy ballads a little bit better at that point.
They were darker, they were moodier, and Usher had songs like Climax, which is exactly right on the money. But OMG, or as he says, oh my gosh.
I know.
It's like, it was corny. It was corny.
And there's a time and a place for a bop, but a full album of them.
Let it burn, let it burn.
So his personal life was also getting messy at the same time as his public career. I mean, it was all kind of falling apart simultaneously.
He lost the narrative somewhere.
Yeah, he divorced Tamika Foster, and then he eloped with his manager, Grace Miguel, in Cuba.
Here's a perfect example of how dated he seemed. Snapchat sort of hit the scene around, 2015, 2016. Usher's on it, and I don't think he realized people could screenshot his dirty snaps.
Exactly. I guess it was technically millennials back then who discovered the dangers of Snapchat. Screenshotting, like you said, sharing inappropriate images, even though they disappear, a 10-second countdown is a long time.
That's a lot of time to be able to
Yeah.
go. And Usher was around his house in his personal steam room, which you gotta give him credit. He has his own steam room.
For sure, but if we're gonna snap a nude, is the steam room the place to do it?
It's so sweaty and the angle was weird.
It was not cute.
And he put an emoji to cover up most of the penis,
I'm so cringy.
but not the whole penis. I feel like I shouldn't say the word penis again. It was such an embarrassing pic.
But like at that point, you're like, was it for publicity? I don't know. I think it was really just a stupid accident.
He lost touch.
Yeah, he truly lost touch in his steam room.
What happened next? You know more about this than I do.
Well, the herpes situation is what happened next. In 2017, 2 women and a man came forward and sued.
And a man.
Sued him for sexual battery. Now, only one woman identified herself. Her name was Quantasia Sharpton. The other 2 remained anonymous. But they sued him for sexual battery, claiming he knowingly had herpes, didn't inform them, and had sexual intercourse with them, and they contracted the virus. But within that lawsuit,
we found out in 2012 that Usher allegedly settled a lawsuit in which he was accused of spreading herpes with an unnamed plaintiff.
Oh my gosh, get some Valtrex, Usher. Wear a condom.
wear
What's
a
going
condom.
on?
Anybody, somebody.
We don't know if he was diagnosed or if he did actually have it, but as soon as the lawsuit came out,
I mean, that was it. It's a crime, it's a reputation killer, and he hasn't addressed it. It's one of those things that's just going unspoken, but we never forget.
We're 2 or 3 years past this, and Usher is now trying to make a bit of a renaissance.
Oh yeah,
or a
because
comeback.
in 2018, he got divorced from his wife. He was burglarized.
$800,000, something crazy.
And then after the failed debut of his collaborative album A, he tried to turn it all around by signing with new management to relaunch his career. So I mean, I get why at the end of a rough year, he'd want to, begin again, like
That's
a phoenix
right.
from the ashes.
what's your name?
Usher, baby.
People were surprised to see him pop up in Hustlers, the Jennifer Lopez movie. He played himself, throwing his name around there, 2019, trying to have it come back. And then at the Grammys, Usher did a Prince tribute to mixed reviews.
The New York Post described it as sloppy. I've seen a lot of reviews saying it was a little campy, and while Usher objectively is a great performer, I don't think this was the right vehicle for him to stage a performance comeback.
Well, it's not like Usher's completely gone away. I mean, he has an Instagram following. He just has only 8 million followers, and it feels weird to say only 8 million, but when you compare it to someone like Ariana Grande or Selena Gomez, who have nearly 200 million, that's what a music star should have, who's posting pictures of themselves and videos. Maybe he should invest a little time in the gram?
Yeah, I think he needs a better social media manager, absolutely. Maybe he and Scooter Braun need to rethink their entire narrative. Scooter Braun has a portfolio of damaged artists.
It's
but
his forte.
True. He's great with damaged artists. I mean, Demi Lovato suffered a near-fatal drug overdose. Ariana Grande suffers from PTSD after the Manchester attack. Justin Bieber was addicted to drugs and is struggling with his mental health. There is a market in that portfolio that I think he could re-energize.
So you're saying
his
cozy
career.
up to Scooter Braun. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, he already has the relationship. They have Bieber together. I mean, why not milk it for all it's worth? You have that contact. It's not like, let me go try and connect.
So do you guys want an Usher comeback?
Because we do, but let us know what you think in the comments.
Until then, we're just gonna be rooting for
Usher.
Rooting for Usher.
Yeah.
What? Okay.